This video is not a tutorial, but it's one example of how to achieve mixed reality pass-through using X-Plane 11 or 12 and a MetaQuest 3 virtual reality headset. Firstly, I want to address why I wanted to mix these two worlds. With the Ace Squadron, I have helped to create a replica Mark 9 Spitfire cockpit. This has a 180-degree projection, but is limited in immersiveness due to not projecting on the floor or ceiling. It's difficult to find your foe when he hides above you. I won't go into details in this video, but I have prepared a number of files taken from the Flying Iron Mark 9 Spitfire. The files taken are all parts of the cockpit. In Blender, I created two masks which were both coloured with the chroma key pink. Each of those masks can be used to allow the pass-through of the real world. There's an upper mask and a lower mask. I've chosen pink as the chroma key colour because it is a colour that very rarely occurs in aviation world. Unless, of course, you live in Barbie Land or Crashland in a flower bed, you won't see very much pink in Simulator. Now, this means that any pink that appears in the sim will be filtered so that you can see the real world through it. So it doesn't matter that you do or don't like pink, you won't actually be able to see it if it's all done correctly. The upper mask is intended to show the entire real cockpit, so that's all the seat, the rudder pedals, the individual sitting in the seat, and the panel as well. That's a real panel, so you can see that. The lower mask is intended to only reveal what is below the longeron, so it actually is just above the knees, so you will see your legs, you will see the stick, but the panel and all the controls which are above that line will appear as virtual instruments or controls. One thing to note is that all the objects in the cockpit must have their specular property turned right down so that they don't reflect anything, as will become apparent where there's an issue later on. The pink looks very flat, and that's intended that way. I don't want to see any shape at all because that causes variation in the colour of the pink. The lower mask is literally just a square, but the upper one is more complex shape because I wanted to follow the cockpit edge, but also to pass underneath the gun sight so that will stay in the virtual world. I'm going to use the virtual desktop application for the Quest 3 virtual reality headset. This has the ability to set a chroma key color, which will allow you to pass through the real world into the headset view, the virtual world. Okay, now we need to configure a virtual desktop. I won't go through most of the settings, but the important one is the VR pass-through. We need to choose the chroma key color. Now, I set the color as the extreme pink in Blender, which is 255 and 255 for the blue and the red channels. However, it appears darker in X-Plane, so we have to dial the numbers back. The similarity figure is how close that it must be to your sub figures, so ideally we want as wide a number as possible on there. However, that can cause issues with other items becoming transparent. Have to excuse me a minute. I'm just having a few problems with my internet connection and Wi-Fi, which have both gone down, and I will get into X-Plane virtual reality soon. Okay, we're in. This is the Flying Iron Spitfire virtual cockpit. Pretty much as it comes from Flying Iron. The only addition I've had to that is that I've made the pilot's legs and torso visible. It's one of the things that I have against a lot of developed programs is the fact that there's no pilots in them. When you look down, you see nothing. You see the floor, and that just feels so wrong to me. I can understand why they did it in the past, but not these days. All the controls I'm reaching to using the visual clues from the virtual cockpit. Because they're positioned in the real cockpit very close, usually within an inch or two, I'm able to reach out and grab each of the controls as I need. I've now switched to the lower mask. As you can see, we've got the legs. My legs are visible, rudder pedals, and you can also see a duplicate of some of the controls where they are both the virtual and real world. All the instruments above where my hand is are all virtual instruments. One of the things I'd noticed is that the hands that you see in the pass-through seem to be to a different scale to the virtual model, and I think it's to do with the focal length the lens uses. I've just put in the controllers outside. There's a step just outside the door, so I'm able to reach through and put them on there for safekeeping. That's our full and free check. Okay, now switch to the upper mask, top mask, which is along the edge of the combing. All the instruments you can see are all the real world instruments, and you can access all the controls. There's no issues finding the control. You will notice that there's a flickering on the screen. This is almost certainly because of the refresh rate of the monitor matching the scan rate of the camera. Unfortunately, that's one of the downsides using a TV screen as a monitor. We do also have the option to have fully integrated instruments. Into our first flight over southern England. This is the low mast this time. Now we should see some of the issues. I'll call them up when they happen. You can just see that the purple tinge is starting to show. That's where that part of the cockpit darkens. And it happens as the light changes, so when I roll upside down the cockpit becomes darker and you get the purple tinge. I just set myself up for a landing. I think it's Coney Island. Issues, by the way, so I don't think anybody in mind. Oh, we're still on the virtual instruments, remember? Sorry, I didn't show you the rest of my landing, which ran out for a little while and then went sideways. Okay, now we got the full real cockpit visual. You can see all the controls and everything, and you can quite clearly see that there's a purple tint around the gun sight and the sides of the coaming. This is one effect that I would love to try and get rid of. It's actually my preferred mode. It gives you the best visual representation. The instruments on the TV screen are no longer functioning. They used to, but for some reason they've stopped working in X-Plane 12, despite being okay in X-Plane 11. So I've got a job to do there. And I see the purple tinge returning, different location this time, but it's where the mask is. It's just showing us the actual mask colour. I will just finish off with a roll, and as you can see it's completely purple now, then back, plus the sun's returned on it. Thanks for watching the video right through to the end. If you have any suggestions how I can solve the issues with the chroma key appearing, I'm all ears, to be honest, because I've sort of run out of ideas. Next video is going to be using the Reality Mixer application. It's a slightly different concept. I'm going to try it and see how it goes. Watch out for next video. Thanks.